I hit the link that you sent me and it opened up YouTube, it showed the bottom part where the mute.
Oh dear. Scott, if you can hear me, I cannot hear you. We're having a dropout with whatever's going on your side.
There it is.
No, it's a bandwidth problem, not something else. Okay, we're back.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I've muted the YouTube, so when we start, we can just start.
Okay, so you start. Go.
Did you do the? We're broadcasting?
It's on.
It's on. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is the Life Enthusiast Co-op Worldwide Hangout. I'm your co-host, Scott Patton, and joining us, as usual, is the founder of the Life Enthusiast Co-op, Martin Patella. And we're very, very excited because we have an absolutely amazing guest with some absolutely incredible information to share with you today. So you want to get out your pen and paper, take some notes, and listen in. You might actually want to bookmark this page and come back and listen again and again. The information is that incredible. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Martin, and he's going to introduce you to our special guest.
Indeed. Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking to Christy Lunsford. A life enthusiast has come and created a relationship with Dixie Botanicals, a company I'm very excited about, and I am, well, as you may know, most of you out there are folks that are dealing with aches, pains. Many of our customers are complaining of inflammation, inflammatory, chronic disease, aging problems, and the product we'll be talking about is excellent when it comes to dealing with aches and pains. I'm going to turn it over to Christy, and we're going to step through her education program just so we can get you on the same page where Scott and I are. So, hello, Christy.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Martin and Scott. I'm very excited to be here on Life Enthusiast today. I am the Educational and Media Director at Dixie Botanicals, and we have a hemp oil wellness product company in Denver, Colorado. Our products are manufactured in Arizona, and I've been asked to come on today to tell you a little bit about the health benefits of hemp oil and how industrial hemp has a great history as a companion plant to humankind. So we're going to go through our slideshow presentation, and we'll go ahead and start right now.
Go ahead. Just call the slides.
Okay.
Just tell me whenever you want to switch to the next one.
Okay.
This is the logo of Dixie Botanicals, isn't it?
This is, and we selected a single leaf because hemp plants all have, they're a lot like communities. There's one main stem, lots of arterial branches, and then each one of those branches has a cluster of leaves. So it's a very fitting emblem for the hemp oil wellness products. Go ahead and let's go ahead to the next slide.
There you go.
So I think the biggest question people have when they encounter industrial hemp, at least here in the U.S., but sometimes also in Canada as well, is what is the difference between marijuana and industrial hemp? Both plants are essentially categorized botanically as Cannabis sativa L, but marijuana is a very short, bushy plant in comparison to the tall, lovely stalks of the industrial hemp plant. And while marijuana is very high in the constituent known as THC and very low in the constituent known as CBD, industrial hemp is very high in the naturally occurring constituent, which is called cannabidiol, or CBD. We at Dixie Botanicals take great pains to concentrate down the cannabidiol, the CBD, while dialing down any latent THC to below the federal legal limit of 0.3%. Next slide.
So yeah. Christy, if somebody will be using this product, they may be on a testing program, like people in I don't know
sure.
what, high activity sports or industrial. They have nothing to worry about. Yeah.
You know, it really depends on several different variables within that person's health and wellness, their height, weight, whether or not they exercise regularly and eat lots of fatty foods. The minimum legal level is 0.3% THC, but THC is naturally occurring along with CBD in all kinds of plants such as black pepper, flax, and there is a very small potential that someone might test positive for THC when using these products. To date, we have many people call the office and query. However, no one has come forward and said that they have tested positive at this point. And
so what you're saying,
yeah.
So what you're saying is that you cannot absolutely rule it out, but you have not heard of one yet.
That is correct. And I can't rule it out because it's naturally occurring within the plant constituency in many botanical plants that we ingest on a regular basis.
Okay.
So what you're basically saying is the hemp's not going to get me high.
Oh, absolutely not. The hemp isn't going to get you high. It's actually considered the anti-marijuana, as a matter of fact. It is high in CBD, which has no psychoactive effect whatsoever, and has many health and wellness attributes to it.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay. Well, anyway, you're on your next slide. You wanted to talk about the history of
hemp.
Sure.
Yeah, this is well worth sharing because people up until 1930 or 35 or 37, oh, there you go, it's on your slide. Yep. Up until about then, it was one of the most common agricultural crops, wasn't it?
That is correct. You know, hemp is really considered in the herbal circles as a companion plant to humankind. And its earliest use was as not only a medicine in China, but the pulp of hemp was mixed with mulberry bark and made into the very first papers. So,
oh, wow.
And yeah. And Scott, if we could just go to the 4th slide for the history of hemp so everyone can follow along.
That one?
So, actually, one back. Oh, one
You want
back.
to go back?
Yeah, yeah.
There?
So, yeah, one forward. So sorry.
There we go.
Okay, great. So, for the longest time, hemp was utilized as a women's herb, and it was utilized in a variety of different medicines to help ease in childbirth. Queen Elizabeth very famously used its slightly more salacious cousin, marijuana, to ease her menstrual cramps. And these plants were on the U.S. pharmacopoeia from the 1850 through the early 1940s, before essentially a group of politicians and industrialists got together, and they basically took hemp away from us because new plastics were coming on board, and as well new pharmaceuticals were coming on board. So the history of hemp is very much entwined, and I'm so pleased to understand that hemp is coming back to the U.S. We can legally grow hemp here for the first time in over 70 years, and hopefully internationally. So if we go to the slide with a Chinese character on it, this Chinese character is Ma, and essentially what you're looking at are 2 hemp plants growing within an enclosure. The plant was highly regarded and very well taken care of within the very earliest of cultures. And this is my favorite Chinese symbol, having a deep relationship with the industrial hemp plant. Next slide. This is an illustration of botanical companion plants. Most noticeable would be the rose. And then in the lower left-hand corner, hemp is categorized right there within this kaleidoscope of plants as a very useful and relevant plant material.
Yeah, reading the headline, it says plants used in clothing and cordage. So these would be the pre-industrial or early industrial uh, plants that were used for fiber. And I
Exactly.
guess it was the DuPont and their introduction of nylon that wanted to get the plant off of the uh, off of the market so that they could compete for ropes and lines directly, right?
Absolutely. Because the fiber in the stalk of this plant has such a strong tensile strength, it's about anywhere from 12 to 18 feet long. And when you weave those things together, it makes incredibly strong, durable cordage and fabric. And it would have outperformed nylon and may one day. My favorite story I like to tell people, go ahead and go to the next slide, is about how hemp was used on Columbus's trip to the U.S. The ships, all of the sails were made out of hemp, all the rope, and most of the clothes the sailors made. When Columbus came and those sails were no longer seaworthy because of the salt water and the sun damage they incurred. For example, a cotton sail of the same size would not have made the trip. But they then took these sails and they made them into tent cities for the settlers. And when the fabric broke down, there was a really amazing rag trade, and the sailors would take the sails and make clothes out of them. And there are historical references to when Texas was being settled a significant time later. Those covered wagons had hemp coverings on them as well.
Wow,
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it really is a beautiful plant.
So if you really think about it, America's settlement would not have happened were it not for use of hemp cultivation and industrial use.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin were all great hemp proponents. Jefferson once said that hemp is the first necessity to the wealth and protection of the country. And all of the settlers who grew plant material or were farmers had to grow a portion of the crop of industrial hemp to pay a tax to Britain, because the cordage was so valued to expand the British Empire for a very long time.
So it was actually a proscribed industrial crop.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Next slide. This is the picture of hemp being harvested on a Federal Reserve bill, a $10 bill, and it was so important to the United States. It was actually on our Federal Reserve notes.
So this would be from sometime around between 1913 and 1937, right?
Yes, I think that's accurate.
Yeah. Okay, that's kind of neat.
Yeah. Next slide.
Yeah,
here we have during World War II, after cannabis and hemp were taken off of the pharmacopoeia, 4-H clubs across the U.S. were given hemp seed, and they were encouraged to grow for the war effort. And go ahead and go one more slide in. Here we have Henry Ford sitting in a field of hemp. And after the war effort, hemp was taken again from us as a companion plant. But Henry Ford was a very strong proponent of hemp, and he even made a hemp car. Go ahead and go to the next slide. This is Henry taking a whack at the panel of his hemp car. And this is just a testimonial to how strong the fibers are and how they've been used not only in cordage and fabric, but also in building materials and even automotive panels. Hemp actually built the Model T to also use hemp biofuel as well. This is one of my favorite photos.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, this is awesome. Better than plastic.
Exactly. It's better than plastic, and you know, it's better on the environment as well.
Well, with plastic, you have to start with crude oil. You have to refine it, and then you have to do who knows what process with it to turn it into a moldable. And here it is growing in the field.
Exactly. In fact, one of my very favorite quotes from Henry Ford is, "Why use up the forests which were centuries in the making, and the mines which required ages to lay down, if we can get the equivalent of the forest and the mineral products in the annual growth of hemp fields?" So he really understood the wisdom of what this plant has to offer to us. Not only as a companion plant, but also there's incredible science now between carbon dioxide reduction with hemp and also phytoremediation. Hemp was planted at Chernobyl to clean the air and soil after the radioactive fallout as well.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Here's one of the last hemp slides. Hemp has been used throughout history for medicine, paper, fabric, cordage, and here is a hemp concrete house being built. This plant really has a lot to offer us, and it's such an exciting time for us at Dixie Botanicals and for me personally to finally have access to hemp as a fabric and also as a dietary supplement. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so Dixie Botanicals Hemp Oil Wellness is really a brainchild of the science team at Dixie Botanicals, and also it comes from our extensive knowledge of the constituents of the family plants commonly known as cannabis. Dixie Botanicals is made specifically from the naturally occurring constituent in hemp called cannabidiol, or CBD. Next slide. We have 3 different products that we'll be starting with, and they are the Dixie Botanicals Dewdrops Hemp Oil Supplement, the Hemp Oil Capsules, and then finally the Hemp Oil Salvation Balm. Next slide. So these are hemp oil dietary supplements, and the constituent CBD is derived from the stalk and stem of the industrial plant.
So it's not the bud and the leaf as what the people in the smoke side of it use,
Exactly.
right?
It is not the bud and the leaf. It's actually the stalk and the stem. And what we did is we figured out where the highest concentration of naturally occurring cannabidiol was, and that's why we choose to derive the plant dietary food supplement from the stalk and the stem. So there are over 400 constituents, which are flavonoids, terpenoids, different celebrity constituents like CBD in hemp. This is a whole plant extract, and basically it's from a very specific cultivar of industrial hemp. Next slide.
There we are.
Our science team has worked specifically with cannabidiol to bring it to you in the form of Dixie Botanicals. But what science figured out in the mid-'80s is that all humans and mammalians have a endocannabinoid system, and you have CB1 receptors in your brain and CB2 receptors all over your peripheral nervous system, with the highest concentration of those CB2 receptors in your spleen. So our bodies are hardwired to use this plant extract, and it's something that we haven't had available to us in over 70 years. And this directly correlates for me as a lay herbalist with the idea of the rise in illness that we have as a population, and whether it be hereditary or pollution, anyone can use these dietary supplements to great effect.
So,
Okay.
Christy, what you're saying then is that we have in our bodies receptors that are looking for stuff that we're getting out of the hemp, specifically stuff that comes out of the hemp.
Exactly.
Wow.
Specifically, one celebrity constituent, which is cannabidiol, or CBD.
So are you going to tell us what that does?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I don't want to get ahead of you.
There's a great slide coming up.
Okay.
So, and actually,
I don't know, this slide here that just came up, you're talking here about the endocannabinoid as opposed to the exo, as in the endo meaning that it's from within or within the body, right?
Exactly.
So we actually make our own, except probably not enough. So if I'm experiencing a lot of pain, that probably means that my endocannabinoid systems are not working well enough. Something like that?
Exactly. In fact, women have fewer receptors than men, but our receptors actually work more efficiently at not only producing cannabinoids within our body, but accepting them from an external plant source. And interestingly enough, in our bodies, the very first time a woman suckles a newborn baby, the highest concentration of cannabinoids is in mother's milk. And it encourages the child who's gone through a very traumatic and painful experience necessarily of being born to suckle for the first time, and it's an incredibly comforting experience for the child as well to have those cannabinoid constituents in their body. So we really are, when I say we're hardwired to use this dietary supplement, to use cannabinoids, it's scientifically irrefutable that we need these dietary supplements.
So what I hear you tell me here is that when my daughter finally has her baby and is getting ready to start breastfeeding, I better supplement her with this so that she has, instead of a colicky child, something much more pleasant, yes?
You know, that is a very linear example of how to use these plant products. And I think it would be deeply appropriate. The youngest person who's using these products is 18 months old, and the oldest is an elder well into his 90s. And this is something I don't hesitate to give my 5-year-old from time to time to help regulate. It's a very soothing product to use as well. And we'll go into that a little bit more deeply. Next slide. So here are some of the celebrity constituents found in the cannabinoid plants, specifically industrial hemp. And in the milligram amounts that we have in Dixie Botanicals, we can talk about health and wellness as far as improving health and wellness, and also helping to end the rather vicious cycle of being anxious because you're in pain and having your pain spike because you're anxious, which is a cyclical and well-documented pain anxiety cycle. The scientific benefits of CBD are very well known, and if we go through these and I read them briefly, antibacterial, inhibiting cancer cell growth, it's a neuroprotective, it also helps to promote bone growth, it can reduce seizures and convulsions, help to lower blood sugar levels, it helps to relieve anxiety, slows bacterial growth, and is very soothing, and also, gosh, it's so small. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry, I have it full screen.
No, that's fine. I should have enlarged it. It's a Vaxfluorescent. It's the last thing.
I could read it for you.
No, that's okay. The Vaxfluorescent is essentially blood pressure within the eye. So as far as this constituent being useful for the body, these are just a few of the things that CBD can do for you in different milligram amounts. And right now our offering, it goes up to a 500 milligram, 2-ounce classic herbal style tincture, but we will be adding new products that have higher milligram amounts that can specifically help with many different ailments. And everyone at Life Enthusiasts, just hold on to your hats, because while what we have right now is amazing, not only from a scientific standpoint and a herbal standpoint, what's coming down the line, just every day that our scientists are in the lab, we have a better understanding of how we can utilize industrial hemp and naturally occurring CBD to enhance our health and wellness.
Yeah, and Christy, when I hear you go over these individual lines, of course, I'm realizing, oh my gosh, in this highly regulated and litigious terrain that we operate, being on the outside of the medical, we're having to just so carefully guard our words. But when I read, for instance, reduces blood sugar levels, I already know that it means that anybody who has problems with regulating their blood sugar levels, they would probably do much better regulating these blood sugar levels with this in.
Absolutely.
Or
Absolutely.
I have this, every menopausal woman is going to say, this promotes bone growth.
Absolutely. And these are scientific studies that this information has been drawn, and it's been drawn from a third party, but it's very well documented that it can help to mend bone and also encourage new bone growth. So when I tell you that industrial hemp and cannabinoids are essentially a women's herb, it's really true. And that's not to say that men couldn't have wellness benefits from these products as well, but I know as a woman, and having used the tincture for almost over a solid year now, that I am in better health and wellness. I have fewer achy joints, and I have obtained not only physically but emotionally a really pleasant standard of operation where my body is working at its optimum level. So it's been amazing for me personally.
So you're actually using it as a universal health tonic, yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely.
What's the dosage that you would be typically using?
Sure. So as a 42-year-old female in fairly good health, I use actually 1/2 dropper of one of the smaller tincture in the morning and a 1/2 dropper in the evening. If I have a spike of anxiety or am not feeling well, I actually carry the Dixie Botanicals dewdrops in my handbag, and I'll get it out and take some. It's common knowledge in my circle that it's considered meditation in a bottle. Whatever I'm having to deal with at the moment is still there, but I'm not having the cycle of anxiety about it. It really gives me mental clarity and helps me to deal and kind of push through whatever situation I'm working on, whether it be at work or in my personal life as well. And it really is quite amazing as a support, if you will, emotionally and phically. Yes.
Yeah, the emotional aspect is just it's just so welcome, because I don't know if you know this, but I was watching a program on television where a pharmacist was being interviewed, and this fellow was saying 75% of all prescriptions we dispense are dealing with either depression or anxiety.
Oh.
75% of all the individual prescription dispensed. So this couldn't be more important than, I mean, this is non-addictive. This is straight to the benefit.
It is. And I can fully support the fact that it's non-addictive simply because I keep giving my bottle of Dewdrops tincture away to a friend or a family member or someone who's having anxiety or not having optimal wellness. And I've been without it for up to 3 weeks or even a period of, gosh, I kept giving my bottle away. So I wasn't getting my daily suggested use out of the product. And I didn't have any twitchiness or anxiety past what I would normally have. What I did notice is that I didn't feel as well. I would wake up with a little bit more of those aches and pains. And it really is, like we named it the balm that we have, the topical, the salvation balm. The drops is really a kind of a salvation as well. I've really enjoyed using the products, and it's really been able to take optimize, if you will, my health and wellness, but also my ability to act on a professional level at work. We have a really demanding schedule, and I can consistently meet those demands because I have this as a dietary aid. Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, you're one of the lines there says reduces inflammation, which, of course, that is the general aches and pains when you wake up, or when you are trying to get up out of bed and you're all stiff, or when you take a long drive in a car and you're trying to get out of a car after 3 hours and it takes you 4 minutes to straighten out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the classic inflammatory action in the body that this will likely then deal with, yes?
Absolutely. And inflammation is your body's way of saying that there's something unaligned in its systems. For myself, when I stopped using the dewdrops, my neck started acting up, and I hadn't realized that I had such an ease of motion and didn't have the kind of twisted up, knotted feeling that I had just learned to live with for the last 10 years. It wasn't until I stopped using the dewdrops for about 3 weeks that I slowly had it come back and realized the amazing benefit I'd had from taking the product orally.
Yeah. So one of the things... Sorry, if I could just ask a question, Christy. One of the ones that I notice is under the CBCA, it says treats fungal infection, and so what popped into my head was Candida. So is this something that would be helpful for yeast and that sort of thing?
Possibly. Because we're selling these as dietary supplements, people are using them, buying them, and then using them, and then calling back into the office. We have had some really favorable wellness stories about Candida, but I haven't come across any specific medical research studies or peer-reviewed studies talking about the health benefits of these constituents with Candida. And really is a concentration of just CBD. The other constituents are found in very small amounts.
Then, if I may, then instead of sorry, my mind is racing around this. The second line says inhibits cancer cell growth.
Absolutely.
You probably some lab results or lab testing that you've done on this?
Absolutely. So I'm going to break that down into two answers. Cannabidiol in high milligram amounts has been found to have significant impact on the modulation of cancer cell growth. And if you simply Google CBD and cancer, peer-reviewed medical research studies will come up. We hope to, in the future, have much higher milligram amounts available to the general public. For now, and that's where the capsules really come in, because we sell them in 25 milligram amounts. And I do know of many people who are purchasing these dietary supplements and using them for that health and wellness goal. I hear great results from some people, and sadly, I hear some medium results from other people. But you have to realize it's when you start taking CBD that has the greatest effect on your health and wellness. So that is the first. Yeah. Go ahead.
When you say the dosage, 25 milligram capsule, how many of those will make a difference? How many do you need to take in a day?
Well, so I'm not a medical professional myself, but the research studies that I've read indicate that depending on the overall condition of the person and where they are with their diagnosis, that they might need anywhere from 300 to 1,000 milligrams of CBD a day to have a wellness benefit of being cancer-free.
So this is 12 to 30
A
a
day.
day.
Yes.
So this is going to get very spendy.
It is. It is. It's very new technology. We are currently importing our hemp from out of the country, which is also very costly. Um, and all of those things contribute to the overall cost of the product. The good news is that we'll be able to grow hemp for the first time legally in the United States this year. There are test plots in Colorado, I believe Kentucky, and Washington State. And having access to industrial hemp right here in our backyard will greatly reduce the price of these dietary supplements. The thing that you touched on briefly a moment ago, Scott, was the lab testing. And I just want to go over what lab testing means to us at Dixie. And essentially, we test 3 times within the production process. Once when we receive the raw hemp paste, so we can understand what kind of constituents that we're dealing with. Another time after the extraction has occurred and we pulled out all the cannabidiol, the CBD, to understand what the ratio is between the CBD and the THC, because it's something that greatly concerns us as a company that ships these across state line. And then the third time is we spot test each batch. So if I have a 500 milligram, 2 ounce Dixie Botanicals Dewdrops hemp oil tincture, if it says 500 milligrams in the bottle, there are 500 milligrams inside of there. So we have very stringent testing requirements for each batch, and we simply want to provide the highest quality cannabidiol to anyone in the U.S., which means that we dial down the THC to below the federal legal limit while condensing and concentrating the cannabidiol, the CBD, which has proven to be a great support and very beneficial for people to obtain their health and wellness goals.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
It's great to know that you're actually running a controlled product. So it's that.
Absolutely.
So on your next slide, you actually get into that, right?
Absolutely. So this really just is kind of a summary, an encapsulation of some of the things we've been speaking about. Obviously, Dixie Botanicals is a hemp plant based line of products that contain naturally occurring cannabidiol from the industrial hemp plant. We extract these, and they are a natural constituent and not anything that's been chemically synthesized in a lab. Our products are manufactured by our GMP, Good Manufacturing Facility, located in Arizona. And what is verbatim truly amazing is these products contain just a trace amount of CBD, and in some cases we've been able to dial down to, actually I should say that in most cases our lab tests come back as no THC in the product whatsoever. Therefore, there's no psychotropic or high effect associated with using Dixie Botanicals products. So the real benefit of using cannabinoids is simple. If you want to promote overall health and wellness for yourself or a family member, or provide anxiety relief without the high associated with other plants within this plant family, Dixie Botanicals is really a great idea to try. And to date, thousands of patients, or customers rather, have been using these plant products all across the U.S. So if we go into the product line, we have the Dixie Dewdrops hemp oil supplement, and we sell this in 2 different concentrations: a 1 ounce 100 milligram hemp oil, and then the extra support formula, which is a 2 ounce 500 milligram hemp oil.
So it's 2.5 times the concentration.
Exactly. And this is a classic herbal tincture. It's used by the dropper, and it's something that I carry with my purse, as I mentioned earlier, and whenever I feel like I'm needing a little bit of extra support, I take a half dropper full to great effect.
So you yourself are using the what's the word? The regular or the extra?
Yes, the 1 ounce, 100 milligram hemp oil.
Yeah.
So if I were not feeling well, however, I wouldn't hesitate to bump myself up just because I have a deep relationship with not only the plant but the product, and it really works amazingly well for me.
So you're saying here on this next slide that that you have some wonderful ideas that you're working on to get this into other products and
exactly. And not only do we have great plans for future product lines, but our industry experts can include biochemists, scientists, nutritionists, clinical herbalists, and that really comes into play in formulation. We need to provide cannabidiol levels that work, but also delivery systems that can be readily accepted into the endocannabinoid system. And the Dewdrops herbal tincture is a perfect example of that. In the extraction process, we have formulated a way to pull the constituents in a way that preserves their integrity and there's no degradation of the cannabidiol. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide.
Okay. Past the product? This one?
Yeah. So the Dixie Botanicals hemp oil supplement capsules they're sold in 25 milligrams per capsule. So essentially 4 capsules would equal 1 ounce dewdrops. And this is for someone who wants a concentrated level of cannabidiol or naturally occurring CBD in their body.
So let me just really highlight it.
Sure.
So 4 capsules equals the whole bottle.
That is correct. That is correct. At 25 milligrams a capsule, it allows you to take 1 in the morning or in the evening, as is your choice. Sometimes people actually do take 2 a day. And this allows them, it's just quick and easy, and it's a wonderful delivery system. I have tried the capsules. I think I prefer the dewdrops because I do like to carry it with me in my purse. But I've found that people who are using higher amounts of cannabidiol on a daily basis prefer the capsules, and they also seem to be a great fit for men and also people who just don't have the manual dexterity to ingest a tincture form. They seem to prefer these capsules.
Right. Now this is not really a very cheap product. It's current pricing, if I remember correctly, is around $10 a capsule, right?
That is correct. I believe it's $10 to $11 a capsule. And
it kind of compares to a smoking habit, what it costs these days, right?
Yes, but I actually prefer
2 coffees.
Yeah, I actually was going there. That's so funny. I prefer to think of it as, do I want a Starbucks and a sweet afternoon treat every day, or would I rather invest that money into the physical house that I live in every day and have a capsule instead? So it's really about where you want to invest that $11 a day.
Well, wouldn't it be a spectacular thing to take one and start feeling calm and free of pain and stable and grounded, as opposed to wired and hairy and come home screaming at your children or whatever it is that you
absolutely. And it occurs to me that in my colleagues and friends and in our customers who are using the capsules, the thing that I hear most commonly as feedback is, it just makes me a better person. Not only do I feel better internally, and my internal systems are optimized, but I feel better emotionally. And it's all about breaking that anxiety and pain cycle. If you can break down the anxiety part of it, the body's systems will use the cannabidiol to further break down the situations where you're not feeling well or you're not in an optimum health. Which brings me to the Hemp Oil Salvation Balm.
Well, before you, I mean, I'll put it up on the screen, but before you go there, I just wanted to say there are so many people on anti-anxiety medications where that they're just having to hang on, and yet there is this non-habit forming wonderful natural product. So I would say this is such a win-win proposition.
Absolutely. If you can break that cycle of anxiety, it's it's almost like getting a full day back, because that's how I look at it. If I add up every minute that I've been anxious or overly emotional about something that is simply beyond my control, if I take back every moment of that, now that I'm using the dewdrops and I have this internal balance within me, it's almost like getting a full day back every single year. And that's a full day that I can spend with my son or with my family, or investing in my future. And that's a beautiful thing. And honestly, that's why I'm so passionate about Dixie Botanicals and naturally occurring cannabidiol from industrial hemp.
This truly is a breakthrough technology. So this balm, the topical, well, I guess joints and elsewhere, yes?
Absolutely. This is one of my favorite products, and because we are so close to the research and development and the formulation of these products, because we all do it together, and my background is actually in topicals, I chose to name it Salvation Balm because it really has been a salvation to me personally, to help to relieve my aches and my tired muscles, but also using it has a blend of essential oils in it. It's also an emotional lift, which has been quite beneficial. And with this kind of thing, a 1.3 ounce bottle, it retails for around $33. This is on par with a very high-end natural cosmetic. I actually do use it on my face pretty much every other day, which it would be acceptable for dry skin, but just the way my skin looks is amazing. And I do use it on my knees. I'm very active. I run after a 5-year-old son, and we are a very active family here in Colorado, and it really is an amazing assist physically to kind of take all those little kinks and edges out and really let me relax and have optimal physical wellness. And I've got to tell you, in the feedback I get from people who have been using these products, people who are pairing an oral product, a dietary aid like the dewdrops or the hemp oil wellness capsules, and using the balm as kind of a cannabidiol system, those are the people who call and write us with such rave wellness stories about how happy they are with the products. So it can not only be used topically, but orally as well. And it's really a cannabidiol system, if you will, because those CBD receptors all over the peripheral nervous system, they're right there, and essentially you rub it in and it's very soothing and relaxing. For me, it takes about 5 minutes to have that action take place.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it might just relax the face enough to get the worry wrinkles off it.
It could be the cannabidiol, it could be the natural beeswax and cocoa butter, it could be the essential oils, the organic essential oils we use in the Salvation Balm, but I like to think it's the synergy of all those amazing things together that have given me just the most amazing lift to my complexion. And I wish I had a picture of the women in the office together that use this product. There's an American Indian, a woman of Eurasian descent, and then myself, and we all have beautiful glowing skin, and I know we all use this every single day. Well, for me, my skin's not quite dry enough, but I do use it right around the eye area with great effect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and so here we are on the last of it. We are at the end of your presentation anyway, right?
Yes, we are. But if you have any questions either about industrial hemp or the Dixie Botanical product line or our philosophies, I'd be very happy to answer any of those.
Hey, Scott, do you have any questions? You've had time
Well,
to listen and contemplate.
I had a lot of questions at the beginning, but you answered pretty much all of them, Christy. Get all the benefit of an amazing constituent without any of the high.
Exactly.
Well, I would like to ask a couple of questions, and that's this. I have watched over the years with great interest the hemp oil stories on the internet. A famous Canadian from Nova Scotia, I think his name is Rick Simmons or Simpson, I don't remember quite clearly.
Simpson, yes.
He put out a lot of wonderful information, and he was essentially advocating for people to take the bud and macerate and extract and then boil down and to create this goo that was ingestible, but it was probably rich in the CBDs, right?
Well, it's more rich in THC. So why don't I break down a kind of a comparison contrast between Mr. Simpson's hemp oil and Dixie Botanicals hemp oil. And I'd first like to say that I personally have nothing but respect for Rick Simpson. He is an amazing educator and an amazing lay herbalist, and I personally believe he's helped hundreds of thousands of people. The product that he's formulated uses marijuana, which sadly is illegal in many areas. And what they do is they take the bud from the plant and they concentrate it with naphtha, which is actually a solvent that is commonly used in paint thinner. So it pulls the constituents from the plant. And then these hemp oil, it should be called marijuana oil because that is really what it is. It's very high in THC, and it's normally unlab tested because it's being made in someone's kitchen or garage. So there's no way of knowing what the constituent ratio between CBD and THC is unless that person takes the time to get it lab tested. If I contrast that with what we're doing at Dixie Botanicals, we are using, it's hemp oil. So we are using industrial hemp from the stalk and stem. It is being made into a paste, and then people with scientific backgrounds who are passionate about this hemp plant are concentrating it down through extractions that use food grade solvents, and all the solvent is purged. And then those products are being lab tested, as I mentioned before, 3 times throughout the process, and then formulated into products that you clearly understand through the FDA compliant packaging and the lab testing and the dietary supplement fact box, what it is that you're ingesting. And while the marijuana oil is high in THC and will give you a significant psychotropic or altered feeling, the Dixie Botanicals hemp oil has no psychotropic feeling whatsoever. It's really a balancing, lifting experience. We like to call it meditation in a bottle. So.
Yes, I can attest to that. There was another really neat video of a young lady promoting juicing of the hemp plant, and they were saying that you could take about 600 times as much of the unheated juice of the hemp plant as compared to heating it. So I guess as long as you don't turn up the heat on it, which unfortunately in the Simpson method you are evaporating it, so you're heating it. But in the raw, you might be able to do that. So as long as you can grow your own or have access to fresh, I guess you'd have to have a license to do it, but as long as you have fresh and you juice it, you can probably get some good results.
That is correct. By not decarboxylating or heating the plant, you're not bringing out those you're not pulling the THC into
I think there are the 2 forms of the THC, the
exactly.
active and the other. Yeah.
Yes. Sadly, though, because it's illegal to grow industrial hemp in such a wide expanse of the U.S., and cannabis, or the plant we commonly refer to as marijuana, is not available in Canada. And let's see, I think we have 27 non-legal cannabis states here in the United States. People just don't have access to the ability to juice fresh cannabis leaves or industrial hemp leaves. I'm really looking forward to this fall because I'd be very interested to try it. But as to this point, I haven't personally been able to try it.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm staying on the legal side of things, so I haven't had that juice myself. But just seeing it, that people are doing it, I applaud it, because I see, okay, it's possible. You can go natural. I mean, in Life Enthusiast, we manufacture superfood concentrates ourselves too. So we take all kinds of things like barley, grass, or chlorella, or spirulina, or whatever ingredients, and we package them into a product. So yes, I know that the raw, right off the pond or right off the plant is the best, but many consumers just don't have the time to dedicate to all of that. So the convenience of delivering the product that's, number one, easy to use, number two, I guess I should put my face on it, that's number one, ready to use, number two, easy to access, number three, standardized, which means that you actually can predict the effect you're going to get, and or the benefit that you're going to get. Yeah,
absolutely. And just the ease of use, and the fact that you don't have to go through all the hassle of trying to find the plant material and make the product yourself, it's amazing. And because I'm constantly giving away my personal bottle of dewdrops, I can attest that from batch to batch, that the product is extremely consistent. And it's because we have such a strong ethical relationship in product testing and understanding what we have as far as the level of CBD in each and every product. So.
Well, this is great. Scott, what do you think? Have we answered everything?
I think the only question that we haven't answered is, where do you get it?
You get it right. You get it right here. Life Enthusiast has a direct authorized dealer relationship with Dixie Botanicals, and here it is. Just go to life-enthusiast.com, and under brands, find Dixie Botanicals. Click there. There they are. The balm, the tincture, and the capsule.
Great. All you have to do is look for the leaf.
Look for the leaf. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Christy, I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day to join us. It's been a wonderful experience for me, and I know just a huge amount of information has been given out to everybody, so I want to thank you, and I look forward to having you on to hang out with us again, and hopefully soon when you can tell us about some new amazing products that you're coming out with.
I would love that, and I think it will be sooner rather than later. So if you have any questions at all, we'd be more than happy to assist.
Great. Well, that's it for today's Hangout. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.